there is somewhere in the world that is going to take over. It's got a young population, it's got massive resources, it's got a mobile literate population, and it's on the up and up. And in this video, we're going to be finding out about that. Hi, everybody, it's Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. And in this video, I'm joined by the crypto preacher, also known as Rumi. He is from Nigeria. We're going to be talking about the crypto situation in Nigeria, a bit of Pan-African politics, why Africa is going to be on the rise, why it's already on the rise, and what's happening with regards to Africa and its former, maybe not so former, colonial masters. Now, before I introduce him, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Crypto Rich YT, join my official Telegram announcements channel, and if you're watching this on YouTube, come and support my work on bit.ly/CryptoRich3Speak, bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey, and bit.ly/CryptoRichRumble. And one day I will get my Rumble logo up there as well.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
The Keystone wallet is the wallet that you want to be using to keep your crypto safe. Whether you are a Bitcoin maxi or an altcoin lover, it is perfect for you. Easy to use, 3 secure elements, it can support thousands of coins and tokens, and integrates easily with MetaMask, Kepler, and dozens of other extension wallets. Get one now to keep your crypto safe and secure. Go to bit.ly/CryptoRichKeystone. Hey Rumi, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Hi. Welcome, Rich. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes. Well, so far, it's a pleasure. And fingers crossed it will remain that way, right? Now, do you want to say a little bit, just to introduce yourself so people know who you are and what you're about?
All right. My name is Rume B, aka Crypto Preacher. Currently, I'm the Executive Secretary of the Blockchain Association in Nigeria. I'm the lead of the Crypto Preacher Blockchain Academy, where we teach young people how to get a career in the blockchain ecosystem and crypto as well. Actually, an advocate of crypto in Nigeria, Bitcoin. I also founded a platform called Think Crypto on Clubhouse, but a few of my partners as well and co-founders in the US was based in Washington, D.C., where we do meetups in bars and coffee shops to educate people about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I do a whole lot. I'm part of the committee that met with the SEC some years ago on how to have a proper regulation in Nigeria. I've been pushing Nigeria government to get involved very well in crypto to see how far we get the very best of the opportunities around, despite the fact that previous governments have actually come to ban crypto transactions from the bank. I'm very heavy on adoption because I believe that technology is the way to go for young Africans with a huge population that amounts to about 62% of our 250 million people. I mean, 18 to 35. And I'm very proud to be a Black man residing in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Well, I'm proud and grateful that you accepted my invitation to come on. Now, so you're the president of the Nigerian Blockchain Association. And, Nigeria is one of the most populous countries in the world, one of the most populous Muslim nations in the world. It has lots of oil, and it has from what I've gathered, a very high take-up and usage of cryptos, of Bitcoin. Like, the population really do know about Bitcoin. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. Very, very enthusiastic about Bitcoin.
Okay, so how does that show up? And tell us about what happened with CBDCs, with the e-Naira in Nigeria, and what's happening now with that. And
right, so
people and how people are, how they know about crypto, how they use it.
So in my own case, mine is pretty about faith. Faith, yes, because I never thought about me getting involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency before now, but I have a computer science background, and I have actually worked with a telecoms company. Everyone must know the Chinese telecoms, Huawei.
Yep.
With I work with at some point Lagos Coastland in an Airtel project, one of the Indian telecom company as well, to manage infrastructure. So I'm well grounded in tech. So I heard about cryptocurrencies way back 2015, but I have this phobia for dollar. When I hear dollar, I feel it's for the very rich people because I'm not privileged to come from a rich background, but I try to work my way to the top, with the mindset that it's going to be okay. So when I heard about crypto, I felt like, okay, let me try and check this out. Not with the intention to make money, but with the fact that it could something that will interest me. Because a couple of persons that have met me in previous times actually want to sold it to me as something that I can get money from, which is the get rich quick scheme kind of thing. And I have seen a whole lot of Ponzi scheme, but I felt like, okay, what's the best way to get the right knowledge? Because I am very particular about knowledge. I love knowledge, so I went for a class and I couldn't afford it because they were charging about $600 there. So I told myself, if I go home, I'm going to study. So I started studying it, getting a few ideas, met someone a few years after to teach me, gave the person a few bucks. I tried to get it, but it wasn't clear, so I tried to build myself. A lot of young Nigerians actually at that period of time were trying their best to get the knowledge, but specifically it was about trading, right? But it is beyond trading. The technology is so important. So I think, I think 2017, 2018, I left my job because I started as a trainee after laboring in the platform to volunteer. When they tried to get me in, towards the process of getting me in, and a few times I'm supposed to be enjoying my money for working and doing a whole lot of things because I've labored. But I found Bitcoin. I would say Bitcoin found me, and it changed the whole world for me. And I didn't stay for a very long time. And I said I resigned. I'm no longer doing anymore because I find a way where I could make some things for myself based in dollar. I'm no longer scared of the fact that someone has to call dollar and I'll be scared. So I was earning passive income in dollar, changing a naira, a Bitcoin, which is denominated in the dollar for the naira. So people that have Bitcoin, what I do, I take their Bitcoin from them and I give them the naira equivalent for those that have the liquidity. I really don't have a lot of the cash, but I have friends that have the cash that wants to buy. So it's going to be done, the calculation is done between the dollar exchange and the naira exchange, and I make some spread from it. So that in a short period of time, I was able to make some money. And I was like, what am I doing working? Why did I just involved in this thing, study it very well, teach people, and make life for myself? So in that period of time, a lot of people were still doing what I was doing, and I was still teaching a lot of people for free. I did that for about 3 years plus. I was teaching because it was revolutionary for me. I bought my first book then, Crypto Asset by Charles Bronowski and Chris Tucker. Chris Bronowski and Jack Tucker, yes. Crypto Asset. I bought that book. I ordered it from Amazon. They brought it to Nigeria. So I started reading, saw Bitcoin as a network and also as a monetary a system of its own. It has its own currency. And it felt like a whole new world for me. I started saving in crypto, So all of these young people of my age saw this as an opportunity, as against the naira that has been losing value over time. So the best way for them is to switch to using Bitcoin and venture the stable coin like USDT. But in that case, nobody wants them because the naira loses value. And this is some kind of form of money which is not controlled by the government and is not controlled by a single entity. That is very, very intelligent. And it got a lot of young people fascinated because they could put a fraction of the Bitcoin somewhere, and in a few weeks, few months, a few years, it appreciates. I remember then in 2018 to 2019, I was saving $10 in Bitcoin every week from my proceeds of transactions that I do. And Rich, I must tell you for a fact, that blew up when the market went to 2021. I was so astonished that, because so that alone, I usually tell young people that you don't have to learn all of the technical analysis. You don't have to go get all the, just save a fraction of your naira in Bitcoin, which is, when Nigeria will use the naira. And over time, watch it accumulate in value. Just have the discipline. Rich, that's my story.
That's fabulous. That is fabulous. But why? So I get it for you, right? But why is there so much take up in Nigeria versus, say, other African nations like Ghana or, I don't know, Angola or Mozambique? I mean, one thing I said to you beforehand, right? And people people in the West need to realize Africa is massive. Africa is, and the maps don't do it justice. You can fit Russia and United States and Canada and China and India and still have room left over in the African landmass. It is massive. So, but why in Nigeria has it taken a grip in a way that it hasn't in other African nations?
I think it has to do with, Nigerians are inquisitive people. People say Nigerians are special breed. I have no doubt in that. Nigerians are very inquisitive. Nigerians are the kind of people where the Nigerians on a regular basis battle with a lot of things. Insecurity, Nigerians battle with, the average Nigerian provides security for himself.
Yep.
The average Nigerian provides power for himself. The power I'm using here right now is a solar system that is privately generated. A lot of Nigerians do that because they don't have the regular power supply in developed countries. A lot of Nigerians provide water, portable water for themselves. A lot of Nigerians provide the very basic amenities that are provided by government institutions in the rest of the world. So all of these have made the average Nigerian person to be sophisticated in some sort. They battle with all of these challenges and they move heads on. In other African countries, that might not be the case. Nigeria is the only country that is rich in oil, and the citizens are poor. I don't know if you have also heard that Nigeria is one of the poor, is the poverty capital of the world. So these rich people take all of the money and they use it for themselves.
That bit I understand. That bit I understand, right? And I know there's incredible inequality in Nigeria, right? But there's places like Sierra Leone or Burkina Faso or Burundi or whatever, they're much poorer, right? And here's what I think it might be. I get what you're saying, right? But if I add to the mix,
yeah, sure.
Nigeria has higher overall literacy than many African nations. It has a massive pool of wealth.
Yes.
Oil resources. So there's a lot of money flowing through the economy, even though there is this high level of inequality, because Angola also has oil, and Libya has been destroyed by the Europeans, right? But so I think there's that, the high level of industry, and perhaps a lot more infrastructure development in terms of mobile phone take-up and power supply than there is in other countries like in Tanzania or the Congo or whatever. So that may support it. And the fact that there is such a relatively highly literate population as well.
Exactly. You are correct on that in terms of the education. A lot of young people are educated. I don't mean through the four corners of education, of universities now, or the higher institution of learning now. I mean, for example, the idea of teaching people. So there's a process going on in Nigeria that have spanned decades, a long time ago. So in a particular tribe in Nigeria, I'll tell you, they are called the Igbo tribe. What they do is, someone learns a trade. He learns how to fix an automobile industry. Maybe he buys the spare parts of a car, he fixes it, does all of those things, imports from different parts of the world, like China and all the rest, right? And he does it for 5-10 years, and he gains mastery on it. What they do in that tribe is, that person brings in another person from the village. I mean, from the rural areas, right? It brings the person, and the person they have an apprenticeship system that has been very, very successful than even people going to the higher institution. So he brings the person from the rural area to the urban area to learn that skill with them for 5-10 years. Then at the end of that, he opens the shop for this person and give the person part of the goods for the person to start their own career.
Right.
Okay. And that person, so that person becomes a boss of his own. He brings in another person from the rural area, which is also the village, to the city. So over time, let's say in 30 years, that person must have raised more than 40 millionaires from his domain. So that's why I'm saying that the literacy rate is not just about going to the 4 years of university. So it's a conscious effort for an average Nigerian to be enlightened. So in my family, for example, everyone goes to school. Everyone wants to have the education. In fact, if you check in the US, Nigerians are highly educated, one of the most highly educated immigrants in the US.
Listen, I know, I lived in London, and I know, there's parts of London where there's was it Dulwich, around that part, Peckham, very large African community, and lots of Nigerians. And I know that in the UK, Nigerians that arrive, they do really, really well academically.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a conscious effort. So it's a conscious effort to have excellence. I usually tell my younger ones, I'm the first child of my family. I usually tell my younger ones that, guys, our motto for this family is excellence. Excellence in your career, excellence in relationship, excellence in networking and doing business. So every family has what they're specifically known for. Some are business, some are career, some are, just like that. So the average Nigerian is positioned to do things differently. So not just the education, but they're highly educated people.
Right. Okay. Very good. Very good. And I think we can touch about this later, but Nigeria doesn't have the same parasitic relationship with former European colonial powers to the same extent as, say, places like Niger and, and some of the French colonial,
Chad.
Sierra Leone and Chad, right? We'll come to that. But tell me about the CBDCs, the e-Naira? Because what I understand is the government pushed for it, and there was riots and protests, people using all sorts of things instead of the CBDC. They were using matchsticks, I heard, in certain instances and localities, everything but that. And in the end, the president lost elections, the central bank governor got arrested and is in prison about setting up the CBDCs. And so just say a little bit about that, and then what's happening now with regards to CBDCs in Nigeria.
Okay, I'll tell you the truth because in the international world, there's a lot of information that peradventure may not be correct.
Right.
Yeah, so in 2021, in 2021, after the COVID lockdown, there was there was a police brutality riot protest that started in a state in Nigeria called Delta State. Then snowballed to some of the big states in Nigeria, all around the country. Lagos was massive.
I remember
So
seeing
why that?
that. I remember seeing that on Twitter.
Yes,
These
NSAS.
demonstrations about police
NSAS.
brutality and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, NSAS. So it happened in 2021. So, but before that happened, people were already using cryptocurrencies for transactions, right? But the CBN was always advising people, advising the financial sector, which is a bank, how they should manage it, because all of these exchange platforms that came into Nigeria actually have accounts with all of these banks. So they do bank payments to exchange to bank, like an off-ramp kind of thing. You know, you do transaction, you send your money to the bank, you're being paid, you're after trading, blah, 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 you understand? You know, so it was getting a lot of popularity. But when that NSAS stuff, the NSAS police brutality protest started, it became so big that the government became worried. You know, despite the fact that they've been more like the truckers riots in Canada. You know, if you
Yes.
follow that really well.
Well,
You know,
it wasn't a truck. It wasn't a riot.
yeah.
The police rioted. The truckers were peaceful.
Exactly. You know, so that was really what happened. It was massive. Then a couple of persons in the diaspora, Nigerians within, realized that the payment gateways of the bank were being closed down that supported the protest. So people were funding the protest with donations from different parts, with the naira. You know, so they felt that that was not cool. So they shut down all of those payment gateways. All right. So by doing that, they didn't know that Nigerians are so smart and they were already having a strategy for that. So Nigerians switched, a lot of Nigerians, young Nigerians switched to using cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Monero, and a couple of others, right, for donations. So there was a wallet address that accepted all of those cryptocurrency payments. They received a lot. Then I used to track them. Think about 10 BTC. For people who were sending money from all different parts of the world. The protest was relatively peaceful, you know, and the whole of things were going on very well as at then. So after the protest and everything, the government felt like, oh, these guys are so sophisticated and technology seems is going really well that the government could control. You know, you and I know that government is all about control.
Yeah.
You know, and if the government is losing control, it becomes really like a serious challenge for them. You know, so they find a way around it, and they ended up closing all bank transactions. So this then CBN governor, I would say, I said it on TV on Wednesday, that he made a very huge mistake by saying that bank transactions for cryptocurrency are no longer accepted from the bank. So the bank transaction, not like crypto was banned, because you can't ban crypto, is money over internet protocol.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so he banned the crypto transactions from the bank. And by doing that, unknowingly, they didn't know that they were empowering another phase of the crypto transaction, which is the P2P transactions. You know, so people were doing P2P transactions. Although before now, we were already doing P2P transactions, but we're using social media. We're already doing P2P transactions, but we're using social media to do it. So how it works is this. So I have a WhatsApp group. I'll tell you this for free. You don't have to pay anything. You know, so I have a WhatsApp group. So I have a couple of people working for me on the WhatsApp group. I made them admin. So I bring in people that want to be on my WhatsApp group, that wants to buy and sell cryptocurrency. I do KYC of them. I have at least 3 or 4 of their social media accounts named. I have the national ID. All right, and I bring them to the group. So anyone that want to buy Bitcoin and anyone that want to sell, so I bring buyers and sellers together. All right, anyone that want to buy Bitcoin, I will tell them to transfer their money to my account. So when I get the alert, I will post it on my group. Then I will tell the person that have the Bitcoin to sell to transfer the Bitcoin to the buyer. When you transfer the Bitcoin to the buyer receives it, they post on the group. So there's a level of transparency. Then I, as the escrow, which is the admin, will now forward the money to the person that wants to sell. Then I will get a fraction of it as agreed. Sometimes in my platform, I charge 200 naira, 300 naira, depends on transactions. So I charge 500 naira. So I've done that for a long time. So by the action of the government, it increased the visibility of people doing that. But one thing that now happened afterwards was exchange platform like Binance got involved, started doing P2P transactions. The people were started going there to do P2P transactions. So they necessarily don't have to, the platform don't necessarily have to have a bank account in Nigeria or anywhere. They just bring buyers and sellers together. You send me your crypto, the exchange platform holds it as an escrow. When they confirm payment, they release it to you. So that was gaining popularity. But the government wasn't happy about it because that alone made the CBDC, which is the central bank digital currency, the e-Naira, to be less popular. The idea of the e-Naira was to further swindle Nigerian young people, the Nigerians, to say, okay, government is bringing an alternative, which is necessarily not correct. But they forget that Nigerians are so smart. Nigerians, when you stop Nigerians to do what they think is giving them some level of progress, they begin to, most especially when it's coming from government, they begin to look at it that the government is against their progress because they know that government is anti-people. So they don't want to get themselves involved. So the idea of bringing CBDC at a point in time, closing the bank transactions for cryptocurrency exchange platform was anti-people, was counterproductive. So in that further made crypto transactions popular because they see that this is a battle between government and the people are making life out of cryptocurrency. So it made it very unpopular. People didn't use the CBDC at all. A couple of us that are OGs in this industry ganged up against the CBDC uses. We felt like, this is a tool to control people's life. Because the truth is, CBDC has huge control. If I don't like how you're doing as a government, you can close down my CBDC account. And because of the fact that it has to do with all of my bank account, I'll be useless. Political opponents can also use that to fight themselves, So
no,
it doesn't make for progress. Yeah.
No, I understand. And I think you make a really important point. You make a really important point that Nigerian people understand that the government is not their friend. And I think people in Eastern Europe and former Soviet Union territories understand that. And many people in the third world understand that. Unfortunately, I think people in the West, too many people in the West, think that the government actually cares for us.
Yes.
And what they're not seeing or not putting together, the governments in the West wanted to violate the Nuremberg Code by mandating vaccines. And now what they're doing, they're in the background building all the infrastructure for CBDCs so that we will have no freedom, no privacy, and that they can punish us at will by controlling how we spend our money. Well, the Nigerians and many, many other people are ahead of the curve in that regard. People in the West, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. Governments don't love us. Okay. All right. So where is it now? What's happening with the CBDCs? The government still developing it, or have they shelved the project completely?
All right. So what happened was the then CBN governor Emefiele is battling trials now with some financial misappropriation currently now because the last government actually left, launching it haphazardly. They actually gave it to, you can imagine how smart Nigerians are. The government of former President Muhammadu Buhari actually gave the contract in conjunction with the CBN governor then. So I think a company in the Bahamas, a Caribbean company, to design it, and they designed it haphazardly. But I'm going to say this for the purpose of this. It's sensitive information, but I have to say this. They failed with the building process of that. They failed woefully, and a lot of monies were lost, but they didn't make it public. Nobody wants to do that so that people don't come for them. But when that government left, this current government, towards the end of that government, the CBN then and a couple of OGs in the industry collaborated together to use an in-house company, that is companies in Nigeria, to build the e-Naira in collaboration with the government. So when this CBN governor left, I believe this current government has been doing well to build the e-naira. But one thing very important I have to mention here, in the campaign promise of this particular government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, actually said that they are going to use cryptocurrency and blockchain to further improve on our financial infrastructure. So, and they've been doing that, yes, they promise that, but we're not going to take that promise hook, like a sinker, but we're watching them closely, and we're seeing some of the moves they are making. They are making very good moves, but again, they are also, in a way, hitting the crypto industry because of a few things that are going on in order to weed out the bad actors. A lot of the crypto guys, we don't like this part I'm saying, but I have to say the truth. We have to put a balanced discussion here. Government is trying to clean the industry, the crypto industry, and also the other people, the players may not necessarily be seeing it that way. But the CBN has come out to say, okay, we're going to give you guys the virtual asset services provider. They brought that out on guidelines. I have a copy of it. I can send to you later if you want. And the SEC is going to give a license, although quite expensive, and a couple of us here are saying that if you're doing that, you have to give special preference for local exchange platforms so that if you don't kick them out of the industry. And I believe the current DG is going to work on that. But it's a working process for the CBDC. It's going to be an alternative to payment, most likely when it's fully done. And also, I don't know if I've said this, but part of the things that is going on, there's a consortium of crypto players here in Nigeria, in collaboration with some other African countries, to launch a stable coin that is backed by the naira, right? So it's a stable coin backed by naira. A stable coin is fairly fixed based on what is going on with Theta, using the US dollar, and also some in the European Union. Like if you follow the MiCA bill very well, the market in crypto asset bill that became law in the European countries, and you'll be seeing regulations around that. So we're doing us in a more small way, so to say, but it's going to be full scale when it's fully accepted, and we'll push to other parts of Africa so that it can be this signage. Because if you look critically, you'll figure out that all of these 54 countries in Africa don't have a single currency that is being used for international settlement. It's a shame, and it's done deliberately to undermine Africa, and we said no to that.
Yeah, no, I get it, but this stable coin, so is it for wholesale or for retail as well? And is it going to be programmable?
Yeah, it's going to be both for wholesale and retail. A couple of my friends are involved in the day-to-day activity. If you don't mind, I can also bring some of them to you to have a discussion with you specifically on that. There's no problem on that. Give you more details, and they are in to give it really hot head-to-head with Theta, because Theta has been heavily used here in Africa, but these guys don't care about us. They just do their things, and they do a lot of things in the West, trying to educate and try to promote.
Is it going to be programmable, this African state?
Yes, yeah.
But
yes,
if it's going to be programmable, isn't that dangerous?
So it's going to be backed the way Theta is being backed by bonds and a couple of other treasuries and every other thing, because it's being done in collaboration with the bank. Right. It's going to be done with the bank. And so that is going to give some level of credibility and stability to it. We've seen. I know your fears. What have happened to UST, the Terraform Lab, Terra?
I can get the value and the utility of a stable coin. I've used Tether, right, and I've used other stable coins as well. So I think many people do that. My concern is if it's going to be programmable the way that the CBDC was going to be programmable, so that the governments can penalize, they can tell you what you can spend it on, what you can't spend it on, where and when and how. Is the
so the stable coin, sorry, I missed that. I think the stable coin is going to be away from the government controlled kind of thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Understood. All right. So that's completely different. And it does take away the power, I suppose, or the dependency that African nations and many other nations from the global south, the global majority, have on the dollar.
Yes.
So
the petrodollar, so to say.
Yeah. And then one of the things, if I can move this on, one of the things I say, right, I've said in some of my videos, there are 33 third world nations that are dependent on the euro. They don't have their own currency, 33 of them. Third world nations, 19 of them are in Europe and 14 of them are in Africa. And I use that, I include the European nations because without your own currency, there's no sovereignty. You know, imagine a situation where, Rumi, you had to use rich coin. You couldn't use your own currency. You had to, I was in control of rich coin, right? And I could tell
Yeah.
you, you know, what you can spend it on and where you can spend it and how much you can have and stuff. And essentially it would allow me to suck assets and resources out of your household, which is what's happened with the euro. What it's done, it's strip mined Europe, especially the poorer European nations, and it's strip mined Africa. In like Niger and Chad. Could you? And I see a movement in certainly in the former Francophone nations against the control of France and imperialist powers. And I mentioned I was in Sierra Leone last year. I didn't say to you, I was working with a project called Cajutel that are bringing solar-powered high-speed Wi-Fi to Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. And what happened was I was just struck by how poor Sierra Leone was, despite its resources. You know, it has diamonds and bauxite and loads of resources, but the British neo-colonialists, they strip mine Sierra Leone of its wealth. And the French are doing that in their former French colonies. So can you just say something about what's going on with that?
You know, so the truth is, these guys they are blood suckers. They just want to rip Africa. After doing that for a very long time, they believe they're undermining the people using a few, I usually say is divide and rule, to get involved in stealing their resources. There's there's no conflict in Africa. I repeat, there's no conflict in Africa that is not motivated by the West because of interest. There's no conflict. In fact, what is going on in Sudan now is a replication of what is going on in Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine is what the role that the US is playing. So it's more like Russia and US is in Sudan. You understand?
Yeah,
Which is very bad. I think Africans need to be wise, you know, but a lot of these people, they are just about power and wealth. But again, we can also make all of this wealth by being conscious of who we are as Africans and maximizing our resources. Look at what happened in Libya. The man in Libya, Gaddafi, actually wants a pan-African kind of thing. He wants Africa to have their own currency. He wants his building, but it poses a threat to the West, and they look for a way to infiltrate the system, and they mess that country up.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So
just on that, if I can just say, so people don't know, so Muammar Gaddafi wanted to set up an African development bank that he was going to fund, so African nations wouldn't need to go to the IMF and the World Bank, who imposed the most draconian conditions on any loans. They used the loans to strip mine Africa. He also wanted to back the dinar with gold, which would undermine the US dollar. And he also wanted to do a deal with China to sell the sweet crude to China because they were offering better terms than France offered. And France was very dependent upon Libyan oil. And of course, he had to go. And Libya was the richest African nation, you know, like full literacy, I think, just about, and free medicine and free housing and just ridiculously well off. And they ruined it. And now it's a failed state. Thank you, Western imperialist powers. Okay. And then what is there a mood swing? Is there a change that's sweeping through Africa with regards to its relationship with Europe and the US?
Yes, the relationship is changing right now. I think African leaders are beginning to consider all of these associations with the world power, the West, you know, because they are no longer, because your ability to effectively negotiate is very important. I think the West have actually capitalized over time on the inability of these bad leaders to be able to negotiate properly their progress and their future. But younger generations now are not taking it lightly. They are going heads on. If you look at what is going on in
Niger,
Niger, Chad, all of those countries that have
Burkina
military,
Faso.
Burkina Faso, yeah. And a couple of them, if you notice, all of those juntas that went on, the coup d'etat that went on, although it's been blown out of proportion by the West because the West own the media. Oh, this is, authoritarian, this is what they brand you to look like a blood-sucking demon. But they know that it's a way to liberate the people. They try to use Nigeria against Chad and Niger, or blocking the borders to allow transactions not to go in, food not to go in. Nigeria has a border to Niger, so, and Nigeria, there are a lot of families in the northern Nigeria, all right, that has their family relatives in Niger. So even the northern governors there were telling the current president that you can't afford to follow the West directive as against us, because if you fight, because Nigeria currently is the chairman of the African Union, and it has a role to play in safeguarding the ecosystem in Africa, so they're trying to use him, and Nigeria plays a very huge role in ECOWAS. I think it was also the ECOWAS chairman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So so they try to fight, try to instigate Nigeria to go because Nigeria can crush Niger. But what's the benefit when some of my family members, for example, if I'm from the north, are there? So the northern governors were like, don't try this, Mr. President, don't do this, because it's going to pull a lot of security risk. Also considering the fact that there's some of these Islamic sects that are disturbing some of those part of the country, so that will further heighten the tension with the Boko Haram kind of thing and all of those things. So the president was sensitive enough to be able to manage that diplomatically. But what the West actually expected was a total annihilation of all of those guys there, so that it looks like, oh, he's doing their bidding. But I think there's a sense of belonging now with African leaders, considering the fact that a couple of them are seeing the light. And I believe that it's going to take time. More is going to go on. France have undermined those Francophone countries a lot, and that's made them even poorer than ever before. I think a whole lot of things are going to happen afterwards. They're already happening, but it's going to take a baby step.
Yes. And just so people know, I mean, we're recording this on the 27th of April, and I think I saw something in Zero Hedge yesterday that the US is pulling its troops out of Chad. They've said they're going to do it because Chad has said go. And Niger has told the US and the French troops to go. And one of the things I heard how the US ambassador or the French ambassador went into hiding when Niger wanted to eject him. I mean, that's just insane. You're in this country and they say, look, we don't want you anymore. And then you're an ambassador and you go into hiding rather than go and meet the foreign minister, the country that you're in, right? And this is what I know. And just so people can get this, right? I mean, I voted Brexit. And France is doomed. Europe is doomed. And one of the reasons why France is doomed is because they've lost the wealth that they were extracting from Niger. They were buying yellow cake uranium at like $1.50 a kilo when the market rate was $150 a kilo. And the two towns where the French companies they were mining uranium in Niger didn't even have electricity. So along comes this new Niger government and says, no, get out. You've robbed us enough. Get out. And France was buying that uranium on the cheap and then selling it, using it to power its own stations, nuclear power stations, and then selling on that nuclear power at market rates to its own people and to other Western nations. Well, that grift is no more because Niger government said to France, you want to buy yellow cake uranium off us? You can pay $200 a kilo. Special rate for France. So, and Europe is a landmass without any resources, no collateral. So of course they're going to get serious about trying to hold on to Africa, and they're going to suffer because Africa's on the rise. Rumi, anything else you want to say before we finish up?
What I want to say is that Africa is a new frontier. Anyone that wants to build their long-lasting business should consider Africa, most especially when it has to do with tech, because the young people here are hungry. They are learning tech skills. They are learning AI. language model. They are learning blockchain development skills, cryptocurrency data analysis. We are pushing all of that with all of our might. And hopefully in years to come, Africa will shock the rest of the world. Look at it this way. If you look at the African map, if you have a map there, it will make a lot of sense. But if you have it in your brain, you'll see that it's had its turned this way. If you turn it, it looks like a shotgun, short pistol like this. And here is where Nigeria is. Nigeria is helping Africa.
Oh, that's very good. So we lost signal there, but Nigeria is like right at there and is the bullet or something, right? For Africa.
Yeah,
I never looked at it that way. I never looked at it that way, but people really should consider it. It has massive, massive untapped resources. And I completely get what you're saying about how it's the Western powers that are instigating all the conflict, like what's going on in the Congolese border near Rwanda and Uganda.
Yeah.
The struggle for
divide. It's called divide and rule. Yeah, it's called divide and yeah. It's called divide and rule. Divide them and rule them.
Yes. And I had the fortune to go to Morocco last year for a holiday with my family, and then Sierra Leone to do some work with Kajito, and maybe one day I'll get to come to Nigeria, or I'd certainly love to go back to Africa.
You have to come to Lagos. You have to come to Lagos soon, and I'll be right here hosting you.
Yes. Well, if that ever happens, man, can't wait to eat the food. Good food.
We'll give you fufu. We'll give you a goosey soup and fufu.
No, I just want meat. And because I'm Muslim, no game, right? Just meat, just beef and lamb, and that'll do. And chicken, well, mostly beef and lamb and fish. That's all I want, meat.
All right.
And I got come during the mango season. I made the mistake of going to Sierra Leone in the wet season.
Oh,
mangoes. All right, Rumi, thank you so much. I'll have the links in the description below. And I think this video may go out on your platforms and stuff, so people can find me, and I'll give Rumi my links. I really, really appreciate it. Look forward to having you back on again at some point. And everybody's watching, please share and spread. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with freedom and with crypto profits. Crypto Rich and Crypto Rumi signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.